Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm your host, Adam Wright, along with co-host Justin Tucker. Now, week one is officially in the books, and as expected, we have a lot to talk about. But first, I want to introduce our special guest, Sean Howe. Sean, how are you doing today? Our favorite Miami Dolphins fan.
I'm doing pretty well. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Doing well. We're doing well. It's week one. We're excited to get going. So Sean, you've been on our show a couple of times. You are a Dolphins fan, and me being a Patriots fan. So obviously that's the only reason, besides our friendship, of him being on the show. Just to recap, that the game where our teams faced each other. But otherwise, you're pretty useless.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah, just had to be honest there. But so, anyways, the New England Patriots faced the Miami Dolphins, and Sean was over my house. Justin couldn't make it, but Sean and a couple of other friends were at my house. We were watching the game. It was pretty nice. We had the TV set up outside on our back patio. We have the pool going. We had some food. We had wings. It was a nice little setup. But anyways, enough about us. The game. So the game started at about 4:25. It was a back and forth game until the end of the fourth quarter. There was just over 3 minutes left. The Patriots were driving. The score was 17-16. And next thing you know, Damian Harris, after a carry, he fumbles the ball and he loses the ball, being down 17-16 in Miami's favor. New England never got the ball back, and the Miami Dolphins won the game. Now, Mac Jones had about just over 290 yards. He threw a touchdown pass, no turnovers, and I believe, I'm just going off memory, Tua Tagovailoa had about 270 yards, 260 with a touchdown and an interception.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he had a throwing touchdown and then he rushed for a touchdown.
So
Yep.
guys, I'll start with you, Sean. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, first off, I do have to say Mac Jones played very well. Obviously a rookie starting his first week. Who thought he'd see a stat line of 290 with a touchdown?
Two former Alabama quarterbacks.
But obviously the better team came out on top. Point that out right now. But in all seriousness,
no.
The Dolphins didn't win that game. Now, as much as I'm a Dolphins fan, yes, I'm happy to see my team win. The Dolphins didn't win that game. The Patriots lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
Just mistakes. I was reading up on it earlier. The penalties. So many penalties went against the Patriots compared to the Dolphins. Turnovers. Those will kill you in a football game. It wasn't the Dolphins capitalizing really on much because the Dolphins made just as many mistakes. But at the end of the day, the Patriots made the biggest mistake, fumbling in the red zone right at the end of the game.
So the Patriots fumbled the ball 4 times and they lost the ball twice. Now I'm looking for the penalty statistics, but it wasn't good.
It was 8 times for 84 yards, and the Dolphins were only penalized 5 times for 28 yards.
Which is uncharacteristic for the New England Patriots, being the disciplined team that they are under Bill Belichick. He runs his practices like he's a drill sergeant, and he basically he'll put you in the doghouse. He'll cut you if you make any sort of mistake. If you guys remember a few years ago, Jonas, running back, he was a practice squad player. And it was back in 2014. He only got a chance because Stephen Ridley was hurt and they didn't have anybody to come in for him. They had this guy named Jonas Gray. He ran for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in this one game. And he was benched the next game because he showed up late to practice. And then he gave Belichick attitude about it on social media. So this is something where discipline has never been an issue, but it was today. Or, sorry, 2 days ago.
I mean, I was looking more into it, and Tua really didn't have a good game if you think about it. I mean, he played decent, but I think it's the Dolphins' defense that really, if you want to say won the game, it's what won us that game. Tua had a few terrible reads. We had receivers dropping passes when we were about to break into field goal range. I'm happy that Waddle finally got the nerves out. He started to look better towards the second half of the game. He had that nice catch. I forget who it was over for a good gain. And he scored his first touchdown coming right out of the half. So I think it was good to get the nerves off him. I think Tua still has a lot of work. Obviously, Mac Jones came out raw talent and performing excellent, or I'd say above what the Patriots or anyone probably expected for a rookie quarterback. I mean, he was obviously, if you walked in and said who was the veteran quarterback, I would have said Mac Jones, just off of what happened.
Yeah, Tua ended up with it wasn't 270 yards, it was 200 yards. And he averaged about 7 yards per attempt. But to your point on Jalen Waddle, how he had a decent game, he had 4 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. So very, very good start for him. I thought he was going to be a bust going into the season. I've said that a few times over this offseason, but if he's going to prove me wrong, this is a pretty good start for it.
I'd say you said it when he dropped that first pass. We were driving in the second quarter down the field. But I just think it was nerves. And I think those nerves finally shook off. He went in halftime, realized he could do it, came back out and proved it literally on the first drive, scoring his first touchdown right there.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Justin, we've kind of left you out so far, given how you're not a Patriots or Dolphins fan. But do you have any other thoughts on this?
Just a little bit tidbits. I can't give you the whole thing because I couldn't watch the game due to my practice, so I couldn't watch the game. So I can only watch bits and pieces. As far as Mac Jones and the way he played, I thought he played fine. I almost thought he fumbled on that one play when he threw it, when he threw it behind the line and it turned out to be an incompletion and not a fumble. But overall, I thought he had a pretty good game. I kind of wanted more from Tua because 17-16 is a little too close for me. I thought the Dolphins were going to win this a little more handedly. But overall, Mac Jones performed pretty well for his first start in the league. I'm happy for him. I think he's going to improve on this, and I think he'll be the franchise guy moving forward. And time will tell.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Patriots had this game won, and they gave it away because Damian Harris couldn't hold on to the ball.
He wasn't the only one that couldn't hold on.
That's true. But a huge piece of it, I mean, Xavier Howard a few months ago almost wasn't a Dolphin. They almost left, and he showed up yesterday to play, and that was a huge part of our defense yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that could have went our way, or could have went against us, I should say. Like Van Noy. We lost Van Noy. Van Noy played a good game yesterday for the Patriots. So there was a lot of things, people were like, oh, the Dolphins going to be good. Are they going to be good? They lost Van Noy. They're having issues with Howard. Is Tua actually going to play well? And I think yesterday was a good confidence boost for that entire organization that, hey, we can do this. We're here to play. We're finally going to make a run at something.
Yeah, so that's also part of why I'm actually very impressed with Mac Jones. Not just the stat line. The stat line's obviously great, but you also have to put it into context sometimes. Sometimes bad quarterbacks have good performances against bad teams. And you have to put that into context, but the Dolphins are an above average defense in this league. And he was able to put up statistics with that. And he didn't turn the ball over, which is key. To not be able to turn the ball over, Cam Newton wasn't able to do that. To not turn the ball over, and he was also not able to throw the ball down the field. So that was very encouraging for me.
I mean, I just think overall the whole game boosted. Even the Patriots coming out on the losing side, I think for Mac Jones and that organization, it gave him confidence, obviously, to keep going forward. So I think for both teams at the end of the day, they're both going to get a confidence boost out of it, and they're both going to keep working forward, and they're both going to have competitive seasons. And I can see when we face again it being another close competitive game.
Yeah. So obviously it was an entertaining game, ugly game for the Patriots. Not so much, pretty ugly for the Dolphins as well. But it's the beginning of the season. It was an interesting first week. But anyways, we're going to move on, and up next we're going to talk a little bit about a couple narratives that from week 1 that could very well be overreactions. However, this is week 1 where all it is overreactions. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright. I'm here with Justin Tucker and our guest Sean Howe, the Dolphins fan. And so obviously this being week 1, some crazy things happen that you don't expect, and it leads us to have to drive some crazy narratives, some crazy opinions that you would have never expected that could wind up being nothing later on. But because it's week 1, I'm going to let it slide, and I'm going to say, let's give us our best overreaction, something that we saw that we're like, wow, this is going to be the way it is for the rest of the season. Give us your best overreaction from this week. Sean, do you want to start us off?
No, I want to see the Ravens fan go first. I want to let him have his glory. We took the glory in the last segment.
Let's hear it.
I will get to the Ravens later. I'm not going to start it off here, but the biggest overreaction I've heard, Jameis Winston is going to win MVP.
Wow.
Because of his 5 touchdown performance against the Packers. Jeez.
To be fair, that defense did make Jameis Winston look like he's going to be a future Hall of Famer.
He's on pace for 80 touchdowns this year. No, more. Because I keep on forgetting there's 17 games.
5 of them.
16. Listen, he's a good quarterback, and I'm happy he's finally getting his shine back in New Orleans. But come on, I don't think he's going to win MVP over people like Patrick Mahomes and the like. Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, those caliber of quarterbacks. So let's calm it down a bit. Enjoy your win, but I don't think Jameis is winning MVP anytime soon.
See, you never know, though.
He's not. I have to agree, Justin. He's not. No way.
With that, do not underestimate the LASIK surgery he had to repair his vision so he wouldn't throw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions again.
So you're telling me he's eating W's now?
Hey, it's his pregame speech. How many of y'all eating a W tonight?
What the hell?
Sean?
So I think for me, I probably have to go with that. I was reading this earlier. People think Jalen Hurts is going to take the Eagles to the NFC Championship.
The Eagles, did an Eagles fan say that?
No, I found it. I think it was Bleacher Report. They were saying, where was it? I'm trying to find it again right now. But yeah, no, it was about Jalen Hurts literally taking the Eagles to the NFC Championship over one game.
No.
I listen. I didn't come up with it. I don't ask the questions. I just read it.
But again, it's the NFC East, and they're known for overreactions here.
Oh, I'm well aware. I mean, it wasn't.
Especially the Dallas Cowboys. Like everything that happens, they're like, "Oh, Cowboys taking it."
We have one on campus. We have a Giants fan on campus, and James blows things out of proportion.
James, well, he is a Giants fan, so it does make sense. And we know how Eagles fans are. It was definitely an Eagles fan who said that, wasn't it? Not to call out any Eagles fans who are listening here. I admire you guys' passion, but sometimes you just got to be realistic, man.
They take it over the edge with their passion.
We're talking about the same conference where the winner came out last year, who made the playoffs with a losing record. So take that for what you want.
They'll burn down the entire city with their passion.
Mm-hmm.
They'll burn it down either way.
Regardless.
Their own city. Oh, well. Anyways, my best overreaction, and something I've heard a lot of since week 1, is that the Packers is that Aaron Rodgers is done. That Aaron Rodgers doesn't care anymore, and he basically tried to throw the game. And that he just wants to get out of there, and he just hates it there. But I've got to say, from seeing his body posture, from his tone of voice during the press conference, from saying, "Oh, well, it's just 1 week. We have 16 more." You know, I mean, in these people's defenses, I'm not going to try and say like Aaron Rodgers is done. This team's going to stink, but this wasn't just 1 week. This should have been a layup of a win. I'm not trying to say the Saints are bad, but you should have. This is a team you should beat. It's Jameis Winston, and he has next to nothing to throw to, and you made him look like a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, Aaron Rodgers, you threw 2 picks, and I don't believe he broke 250 yards.
No,
I'll have to check.
Threw under that. He didn't break 200.
He didn't break 200. So there you go. And it was against a New Orleans defense that isn't really that good that it makes Aaron Rodgers look that bad. It's good. It's an okay defense. But
I might pick it up in fantasy now.
Maybe, if it's going to be like that, but not good enough so that it's, but it's still crazy because that's not sustainable. Even if he has a down year, he's going to throw at least like 25, 26 touchdown passes.
I mean, we're talking about a quarterback that was MVP caliber. How does this happen?
He literally won MVP last year and showed no signs of decline.
He won MVP. Something doesn't add up. An MVP caliber quarterback does not come out and not score a touchdown against the below average team, especially now the Saints don't have Drew Brees. What are the Saints? What is so special about them that you can only put up 3 points in a whole game?
I don't know.
You're an MVP quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that might very well have a down year. The Packers could have a down year. They might barely sneak in the playoffs. They could, for all I know, they could miss it. But they weren't that bad. They're not. That's not going to be that bad. They're going to have a football season, I think.
They're going to fix it.
They'll fix it. It just depends on to what extent. Are they going to return to their MVP caliber status, where they're a Super Bowl contending team? Maybe. Are they going to miss the playoffs? Maybe. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. It just doesn't. They have too much talent. It's not in the cards. It's just not going to happen.
I just still think that something has to be. You don't just put up 3 points against the Saints and act like nothing's gone wrong. Like I'm not saying
that at all.
They'll put a season together. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to wonder what is going on in Aaron Rodgers' head. Like, does he really care about the game of football anymore?
I agree.
About the Green Bay Packers.
And did you see some of his press conferences during training camp? I've never seen a player so brutally honest in my life. Literally saying, "Yeah, I was kind of like contemplating retirement, and I didn't know if I wanted to play football anymore, but here I am, guys." Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, even if you just saw him showing up for training camp, when you see like the videos of them walking in and out, like you could just tell it just seemed like he didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just
in Green Bay.
To be honest, I'll make a bold prediction. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see more Jordan Love in the next coming weeks.
I don't think that's gonna. I still think that's another overreaction.
No,
Aaron Rodgers is gonna.
I don't know. I think if Aaron Rodgers continues to play like this, that they're going to be forced almost by hand to have to work with Jordan Love. You cannot put up 3 points every week. Again, it's the Saints. If you can only put up 3 against the Saints, what's going to happen when they go play a good team?
Yep.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to have to make Jordan Love work if they can't get Aaron Rodgers to get on board with the program, which he clearly, as we've just discussed, has not gotten on board with whatever Green Bay is trying to do.
Well, if this continues, but like I said, there's no chance that he's going to be this bad. I know this is like, you can't look at this and say there's nothing wrong. I agree. There's clearly something up, and the offseason obviously has something to do with it. But you can't say that he's going to stay this bad. He won't. He might have a down year, but as in the words of Aaron Rodgers himself, cocky bastard, some down years for me are career years for other quarterbacks, which is true actually.
Yeah.
I just think he's got to get his mind right. Right now, his mind's not there, and again, we've seen it. So it's just a matter of, is he going to want to be there? Like, does he want to play football? Like, that's the question that I ask, because it really looks like he doesn't want to play anymore. He has no interest in being part of the Packers.
Yeah, basically. All right. Well, we are going to move on, but up next, when we talk about some overreactions, it's not an overreaction that there were a lot of upsets going on during this week. In fact, it's actually very historic, the number of upsets that we got, the underdogs that pulled through. We're going to discuss that next here on the Fumblerooski podcast. Stay tuned. And we're back. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm Adam Wright. I'm with Justin Tucker and Sean Howe, our guest speaker here, the Dolphins fan himself. And we are talking about a little bit of off-season action. We've already gone over the New England Patriots. Between me and Sean, the Dolphins fan and the Patriots fan, we've gone over some overreactions from the week one action, because obviously you're going to have some week one drama where you're going to be saying, holy crap, this happened, and this is what's going to, there's always all this crazy garbage that happens. But anyways, there was another crazy thing that happened this week where that there was a record amount of upsets from this past opening week. According to ESPN, 9 underdogs won their games this week, and which would be most for a regular season week in 38 years. So you'll have to go back. All 3 of us weren't even born. I'll have to go back. Well, some quick maths here. Sean, the math guy. How long ago was that? That was
what year?
It was a long time ago. Anyways,
28 years.
38 years.
There you go.
Longest in 38 years. So the teams who pulled through, who were underdogs, were the Vegas Raiders versus the Baltimore Ravens, which we will talk about in a bit. The Arizona Cardinals against the Tennessee Titans, the Cincinnati Bengals against the Vikings, the Houston Texans against the Jaguars, the Los Angeles Chargers against the football team, the Miami Dolphins against the Patriots, the New Orleans Saints against Green Bay, which we discussed a little bit, the Philadelphia Eagles against Atlanta, and Pittsburgh Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. So this all begs the question, which upset was the most shocking to you guys? I'll let either of you start off on this topic.
I mean, I'll happily go first because I already know what Justin's going to say, and I want to let him
Please
fume
take it
afterwards.
away.
But what I was going to say is, I mean, we've already discussed this game, but Saints and Packers. The Saints put up 38 points against one of the best teams supposedly in the NFC. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdowns.
And a
When
great
did this happen?
and it was against a very good Packers defense too, correct? Like Jair Alexander, the new kid that they got out of the new cornerback they got. What is it? Is it Savage?
Stokes.
Stokes, yeah. It was that secondary's legit. That front seven's legit. That was a good Packers defense.
Hold on. Wait. Did you just say the Packers secondary is legit?
Well, outside of one of them.
I was about to say they still got one of them. They still got that guy on that roster.
Completely blanking on his name. What was it
Kevin
again?
King.
Kevin King, that burnt piece of toast.
That guy.
He got smoked. He got smoked in the NFC Championship by a play. He got smoked in the NFC Championship by the Buccaneers' number 3 wide receiver. Like the dirt on the Buccaneers' shoe.
Got smoked by a guy named Scotty.
Scotty Miller. It was incredible how they just exploited him.
I mean,
anyways, go on. Keep going. Finish your take.
Let me raise a question, guys. If I told you that Jameis Winston and the Saints were playing the Green Bay Packers, how many touchdowns do you think Jameis Winston would have? Like, what is your typical stat line? Do you think that Jameis Winston would have going into a game like that?
Well, it depends on which Jameis you're getting.
If he threw 5 touchdowns, you said?
Yeah, well, he had 5 touchdowns, yeah. I don't know if
I'm pretty sure he had just a little over 100 yards, right?
150 or 148, I think. Yeah. He was 14 for 20 with 148 yards and 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
And then he kept it on the ground for another 37 yards.
My thing is, I could see him throwing 3 touchdowns, but I also see him throwing 3 picks as well. So it's like, one of those things.
He threw no interceptions. So as Adam just said,
that's the crazy thing.
He didn't turn the ball over at all.
A solid secondary. Who would have thought that was ever going to happen? So I have to go with the Saints in Green Bay. I mean, that's just it. Still mind boggles me that entire game. 3 points from Aaron Rodgers, an MVP in the Green Bay offense, and 38 points from a New Orleans offense who no longer has Drew Brees.
So I'll have to agree with you on that one. I think I was trying to find a different one to go a different direction, but that's too blatant to ignore. I mean, there were some good ones. The Buffalo Bills deserve an honorable mention. How they got beat in the second quarter or in the second half. Were they held scoreless in the second half? I think they were.
No, I don't believe.
Or was it just in the fourth quarter? It was something where the Steelers just clamped down on defense.
The Steelers, I know they had, I think it was, I want to say 14 or 20. They had a lot of points go. What was it? Yeah, I think it was 10 go unanswered because I'm looking at it right now. It was 10-0 going into the half, and then it was 10-6 going into the fourth, and then Buffalo put up 17 in the fourth. So I want to say that they had 20 unanswered. It was something like that. I remember seeing it when we were watching it. Actually, it was an absurd amount. Buffalo just gave up pretty much.
So I'm just trying to find the the line score from this game, but it was something crazy that just this massive momentum shift.
Yeah, and it was the third into the fourth quarter. It was, like I said, it was 10-0 in the Bills' favor at half, and then the Bills only scored 6 in the entire second half to Buffalo's 23.
Okay, so in the fourth quarter, 17-6, Pittsburgh outscored Buffalo. 17-6. So Buffalo had this game. They had the lead for the majority of the game, and then it just collapsed. It just fell
20.
apart.
It was 20. I was right. It was 20 unanswered. We had 20 unanswered points in the second half.
It was a low scoring game up until the fourth quarter, when it was it was 10-6, and then it just fell apart.
They had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter where the Bills didn't respond.
But anyways, you can't ignore the Green Bay one. Like, how do you get not only lose but get smoked by that Saints team? I mean, it was ridiculous. All right. So Justin, I know you've been waiting to let off some steam about your Ravens. I know you're picking that team. Justin, please, the floor is yours.
I wanted to say Green Bay versus the Saints. That's the obvious one. You let Jameis Winston give you 5 touchdowns. That's easy to me. That's the easy one. As a secondary option, if both of you guys chose that, I would have chose the Buffalo one, because they shouldn't have lost to Pittsburgh. Big Ben is trash, and they still lost to the Steelers. That defense, not gonna lie, I like that defense. I respect that defense, but come on, Josh Allen, the guy you guys are trying to tell me is a future MVP, the franchise guy of the team, threw for 50 times, which is way too many times in my opinion, but they have no running game. Wish he had Zach Moss and Devin Singletary to do Trump now. But anyway, my biggest gripe is the Ravens versus the Raiders. You had one job. I don't know how we lost that game going into the fourth. We just couldn't stop them in the fourth. The thing is, our offense had struggles here and there, but we should have won the game in the fourth. All we had to do was stop them and not let them kick the field goal. That's all we had to do. And we couldn't do that, and we forced it into overtime. And if you do that, the chances of us winning went down dramatically, because it goes to a coin flip, and the team that has the home field advantage, if they win the coin flip, they had the best opportunity to score right then and there.
I mean, there's a positive that came out of that game. I won fantasy because of it. Your defense didn't show up.
My defense. We'll get to that later. We will get to the tragedy that happened on that side. We will get to the offensive thing that happened on the offensive side of the ball. We will get to all of that in the next topic.
All right, that's a good tease. We're gonna move on and talk about just that game on Monday Night Football. The Raiders and the Ravens, an absolute thriller. We will analyze that in full. Up next, you're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Absolute thrill. I almost lost my life.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm Adam Wright with Justin Tucker, with our guest, Dolphins fan, Sean Howe. We are talking some football in week 1 action, and to save the best for last, probably the best game of this week. On Monday Night Football, the Ravens and the Raiders played last night. You guys are going to be listening to this at 7 on Wednesday, or around there. But anyways, so the Raiders beat the Ravens, and the Ravens led for the majority of the game. The Raiders forced overtime by outscoring Baltimore 17-10 in the fourth quarter at that point. And so at that point, we're tied. And I'll go into the play-by-play to get. So what ends up happening is the two teams, they took turns turning the ball over. Oakland had the ball at the 1-yard line, and Derek Carr throws a pick in the end zone. Next thing you know, the Ravens are marching down, and then Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball away. The Raiders would go into field goal range. But they boldly went for a pass. They got a deep ball, completes it, touchdown, Raiders. Raiders win the game. Guys, give me your thoughts. I will let Justin, our Ravens fan, lead it off. Give me your thoughts. Let it all out, buddy.
After the end of the game, I had to remind myself the sun will come out tomorrow. I had to remind myself that tomorrow is a new day, and I had to remind myself that I don't play for the Baltimore Ravens because I would have murdered somebody if I was on that field. Let me get this straight. You're trying to tell me we had our foots on their necks for the entirety of the game until the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden, we decide to let them back into the game and actually lose that game. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I'm befuddled. I am confused. I am flummoxed. I don't know how my defense just choked the game away in the fourth quarter. I don't know where to begin, but I'm going to begin with the offense because that is the least amount of gripe I have. But there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to get into. Number one, number 78, Alejandro Villanueva. You're not playing for Pittsburgh. You're playing for Baltimore. Get your act together. Yesterday, you were playing like the opposition. I don't know what Max Crosby did to you, but man, you were getting your butt whipped by him the entire game. I don't know what your problem is. Lamar Jackson was fighting for his life back there. Oh my God, he was pressured 54% of the time when he dropped back to pass. 54% of the time. You want to know why? Because you can't handle Max Crosby. You can't handle him. And it's only effort. It's only effort. He tried it on Ronnie Stanley, didn't work too well. He went straight to you and did not leave that side for the rest of the game. I cannot believe you. I thought Tyree Phillips was going to be the worst player on the game, but he got injured. No, it was you. You played like a bum. I expect better from you. Also, expecting better from Mark Andrews. 2nd and 7, you had the chance to pick up the first down before the fumble, and it went through your hands and you dropped it. I expect more from the tight end we just paid 4 years, $56 million for. You don't drop that pass and then expect everything to be fine because now it's 3rd and long. We're going to have to pass again. And guess what? There's no protection because Alejandro Villanueva can't block to save his life, and Lamar Jackson fumbles. Oh my God. Receivers dropping passes. Tight ends can't catch. All linemen can't block to save their lives. And then we get to our quarterback, Lamar Jackson, the Lamarvelous one. I'm not going to lie to you. He was okay. I'm not going to eviscerate him. He had an okay game. The 2 fumbles were critical. I'm not happy about the first one. I'm not getting on him about the second one because that's not his fault. The first one, though, I need him to hold on to that ball. But he was by far the best thing I had on offense, and that is, let me get to this defense real quick. I need to rip this to shreds. The game is on the line, and you're playing cover 0 in that situation, and you let Zay Jones get wide open for a touchdown. Wink Martindale, you are the DC, and you played like a scrub in the fourth quarter. I don't know how the hell we lost that game because of you. Normally, as a Ravens fan growing up, our defense usually bails us out of games. I'm not used to the offense having to bail us out, but I swear to you, why the hell are we giving up 33 points to the Oakland Raiders? Their only weapons are Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller. And Jacobs didn't do that much. So explain to me how we lose that game. Their defense is not that good, and we still lose that game. Tyson Williams, he actually had a good first half. That 4th and 1 run for that touchdown was the best run of the game in my eyes. Didn't even get the ball but like 2 or 3 times in the second half. I'm sorry. I thought we were a run first team. I don't know why all of a sudden we go away from our best running back at this point in time because Latavius Murray just got there. Give the ball to Tyson Williams and let him go to work. Don't. Oh, I am. Oh, someone else go. Someone please go. I'll take
I
anybody.
mean, I'll go. Hold on.
Wow.
First off,
That was
how
beautiful.
that was a gem. That was wonderful. But how far in the past are you living? Because you called them the Oakland Raiders.
I don't.
They aren't.
You did do
They
that a
aren't.
couple times.
Indifferent.
They
Indifferent.
aren't in Oakland anymore, buddy. You living that far in the
Las
past with the
Vegas.
Ravens defense too?
Las Vegas.
Anyways, what I was gonna add to the conversation was I was just looking through this. The Ravens were 3 for 12 on third downs to the Oakland 7 for 15. That is huge. Third down conversion is one of the biggest things in the NFL. The Ravens only converted 25% on third down. The Oakland's roughly 50%. Justin, how do you
Mhm.
let that happen?
God, God, play calling. Oh, I almost forgot about him. Greg, mother effing Roman, you piece of garbage. Why do you do this to me? I don't hate you like the rest of the Ravens fans, but oh my God, I got hate in my heart for this man. I got hate in my heart for this man. I don't know why he does this to me. Every time I think we got a chance and he screws us over with a run play on 4th and 1 that we already did in the earlier game, and that's how we got the touchdown. He tries it again on 4th and 1. It gets stopped. KJ Wright comes up the middle and stops the running back. Way to go, Greg Roman. Nice play calling there. Nice inventive play calling.
Wow. So I'll just share my thoughts real quick. Jump in between. Wow.
I don't know how
So
you follow that
anyways,
up. That's deep.
yeah. So here's the thing. This is a run-oriented offense, and when they lost all of their running backs to injury, that's where I found that this team is in trouble. Even though they have Lamar Jackson to run, it's still nice to have the running back to have the option, so that to keep the defense guessing. The issue is when your running back is a no-name, as good as Tyson Williams was playing, it's then you lose your starting guard during the game. It's going to give you issues on offense. You also lost Marcus Peters on defense. So the injury bug really hit them, and it showed with them today. You know, I know you said Josh Jacobs is one of their only weapons. I don't think he's that good.
Stop.
And on top of that,
This ain't the day for that.
on top of that, but they really got shredded in the secondary. I mean, Derek Carr threw for over 400 yards. That's where the issue was in the secondary. And it was just Marlon Humphrey. So that was the issue. I didn't think they got shredded that poorly on the run game. I really didn't. I know Josh Jacobs scored 2 touchdowns, but he only got a few yards. I don't think he's that good.
I can't.
There's a reason they brought in Kenyon Drake. But it's the injury bug at the end of the day. I mean, I like Latavius Murray. I think Latavius Murray is going to be a good running back, and he's going to fill the void fairly well as soon as he gets up to speed on this Ravens offense. I've always liked him. I don't think Devontae Freeman and I'm forgetting the other guy, Le'Veon Bell, are going to make much of an impact. Latavius Murray will come in and help, but the injury bug showed today. That's all. That's basic. It's pretty simple.
It isn't simple because even when our left guard went down, we still scored a touchdown on the ground with Latavius Murray. So I was like, okay, we can still do this. My problem is my right tackle, the one we just got, the one to replace Orlando Brown, played terrible. I don't know what he did. And I really liked him going into the season. He had that nice speech going for him. Bruh, I'm not going to lie. I'm treating you like the opposition. I don't know how do you let Max Crosby take your lunch money like that repeatedly? And if it wasn't him, it was Carl Nassib. First off, congratulations to Carl Nassib, first openly gay player in the league. But he should not be taking your soul like that and making Lamar Jackson fumble. Max Crosby should not be looking like Lawrence Taylor out on the edge, giving you that work. I cannot believe we just kept giving him one-on-ones for him to fail me every time. And also, it was a plus for us. That touchdown pass that Lamar Jackson threw in the first half to Marquise Brown, he only got out of the pocket because Max Crosby was giving it to Alejandro Villanueva. He breaks the pocket because he has to, and then he sees Marquise Hollywood Brown in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. My God, I understand. Lamar Jackson did not have his best game because of the 2 fumbles. But if you look at the overall stats, he threw over for 200 yards, and in the first half, he had 9 of 13, pretty accurate, and he had a touchdown, 0 interceptions. He wasn't bad until the fourth quarter where he had that costly fumble and then the fumble in overtime. My problem is there shouldn't have been an overtime because my defense should be like that regardless of who's in the lineup because of my DC. And when my DC fails me and gives up 17 in the fourth quarter, there's going to be an issue. No, 17 in the third and fourth.
There's only so much the defensive coordinator can do when the talent on that defensive side of the ball is depleted with injuries.
It's only one guy that left.
That's a crucial part of their secondary who they lost. And on top of that, they also traded away one of a promising young prospect who they had as a cornerback earlier on during the preseason, who was having a great preseason. So they've lost a lot of pieces.
We couldn't keep them.
Well, this is the result. All right. Well, anyways, Justin, your Ravens will have there's always next week.
It's not next week. No, don't say that next week. You know who we have next week.
You got 16
It's only
games.
week 1. And then next week it'll only be week 2.
No. But we have the Chiefs next week on Sunday Night Football.
Oh,
we needed that win for momentum.
All right.
Here's your
0-2.
Here's your 0-2.
All right. We've talked about a lot of crazy things that have happened this week, and it was a crazy week. A lot of stuff we had to cover, but we actually want to hear from you with this week's Fumblerooski fan box. So stay tuned. We'll shout you out. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. All right, we are on to our Fumblerooski fan box segment, a segment where you guys get to run your own segment and give us stuff that we talk about. So in order to do this, I post a question box in our Instagram every week on Mondays, and I give you a question. And you don't have to answer the question. You can put anything, but it's a general question. You guys can put whatever you want, and we will shout you out on both on Instagram, and we'll shout you out on your show, and we will talk about your take or whatever you say. Any questions for us or anything, just go check it out. It's a fun way for you guys to get engaged in the show and get involved. But anyways, let's kick it off. First off, we have Patrick Willever. Patrick Willever, 22. This is his second time. He responded last week with his Bengals take. And here he says, Chandler Jones. So the question of the week was, what was the craziest thing that you saw happen this week? He says that Chandler Jones is 5 sacks. All right. Yeah. So do you guys have any quick thoughts on that?
I mean,
Chandler Jones?
I think the stat stands for itself. I mean, 5 sacks. How often do you see a player getting 5 sacks in one game?
I mean, it was crazy. Like, I don't it's disappointing how underrated this guy is and how undervalued he has been by the league in the past few years. He's been one of the best defensive players, one of the best pass rushers in the league for years, and he hasn't gotten enough love. He showcased that with his 5 sacks. People have been forgetting how capable he truly is.
Yeah, I mean, he had 3 sacks within the first quarter, and the tackle he was going against is a Pro Bowler, All-Pro caliber player in Taylor Lewan. So it's not like he's going up against a scrub. He did that to a Pro Bowler, and he still gave him the work. And he's on pace for 85 sacks.
I mean, all I'm going to say is numbers don't lie. So 5 sacks is 5 sacks. That's impressive.
Anyways, next up we have this kid. Not sure who he is. It's Sean Howe, 93.
Wow, I wonder who that is.
Maybe you guys have the same name. No, so this is Sean Howe, our Dolphins fan. He responded. Thanks, Sean, buddy. He said the Patriots fumbling in the red zone, down 1 in the 4th. So we've already given our thoughts a little bit on that, but holy crap. We had that game won. I'm so disappointed. But
to be honest, I just put that there just to rub it in your face a little bit more.
I know you did.
Mm-hmm.
But they should have had that game. Ultimately, I'm happy that Mac Jones had a good performance. But they should have won that game. That's a disappointing game. I think Patriots fans are being too easy on this Patriots team after that loss. Anyways,
team with the win right now.
Yeah, whatever. So it's 1 week. It's only week 1. Anyways, John Warren with 3 N's, WARRENNN. It says Lions almost come back. So the 49ers, but it was a pretty big surprise that this happened in the first place because the 49ers, they weren't that good of a team last year. They went up 28 points, and it wound up being a 1-score game. And it was actually incredible. It's one of, out of the crazy things that happened, this was one of those things where it was just like, wow.
I mean, Detroit put up 16 in the 4th to San Francisco's 3.
Mm-hmm.
If Detroit played the whole game, even if they just played the second half, like they played the 4th quarter, like if they played the 3rd quarter the same exact way, they would have won that game. I mean, I'm looking at the 4th quarter stat line right now, and it's just heavily in favor of Detroit.
Yeah, but I mean, in the 4th quarter, 16-3 in the 4th quarter. Detroit outscored San Francisco and made it a 1-score game. I'm shocked it got to that point. And especially with the amount of talent that Detroit has. Unbelievable. Anyways, moving on, we have SHELLEY_2017, Shelley, otherwise known as Robert Shelley of the Pesky Pole podcast, our brother-sister podcast. You guys, a lot of you guys in the audience, you'll know a lot about him. So I guest on his show a lot. And so anyway, this guy, he put out, watching my fantasy football team dominate, ... So this is an obvious shot at the fact that Robert and I are in a fantasy league together. We've been in it for a couple of years, and we face each other this week. Robert had never won a game against me before. In fact, when I face him, I cream him. All right, this is my turf. Football. I have the football podcast. I beat him every time. This time he creamed me. He dropped 168 points in PPR, and I held my own. I scored about 147 points, but he absolutely went off. So I mean, he's obviously saying this as a shot at me, trying to talk trash. But I will say, like, for the question of the week being the craziest thing that has happened, it is pretty crazy that you were able to pull out a victory against me. I will say that. Anyways.
It's pretty crazy that Justin's Ravens gave me a win in fantasy when I thought I had no chance.
You got so lucky. Oh my god, I hate this week. Get this week over with.
Justin
I'm living it through. I won
Justin-
fantasy by a point.
Justin lost in fantasy football too.
That's tough.
That's fine. That's due to my own stupidity because I started Keenan Allen. I should have started Keenan Allen, but I started Brandon Ayuk, and he didn't do anything. If I started Keenan Allen, I would have won.
Anyways, we could talk about football all day. We are a couple passionate people talking about football, but we have to end the show. But do you guys have any last minute tiny small thoughts that we haven't discussed? Anything left?
I mean, I'm just gonna say fins up.
Fins up. Oh, go Pats.
Ravens
Justin,
found a better right tackle because
You're
Alejandro ain't doing it for me. Jesus.
Here we go. All right. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Spreaker, and Google Podcast. Be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.